We are recording.
We're recording. We're back.
We're back.
Hi, guys.
We're back.
We're back.
We're bringing the pod back.
Yeah, we are. Holy crap. It's been a while.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Holy
cow crap.
So the last time we were here was right before I left for Western States Commentary. I think it was the day before I left. And we actually never released that episode. So
Really?
yeah, we recorded it, went to Western States. I was going to release it. I met with a production company that we might be working with in the future. They were a little bit out of our price range for now. But then, so that's why I didn't publish, because we were waiting to hear back from them. And then you had a seizure when you were home.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to call. And that's kind of why I didn't publish it after that, is because it was supposed to release right after I commentated and right before it was supposed to release while I was in Colorado. And that whole trip was canceled.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So we have a lot to catch you guys up on. And obviously you just spouted out a bunch of crazy things all at once.
It's like not even half the crazy.
Let's maybe like go big picture, like walk the timeline and just tell everyone what we've been doing, because life has really been insane lately.
I know, it always is. I feel like we're always coming back to the mic and being like, whoa, that was an insane couple months. And everyone's like, shut up, you guys, you're doing this to yourselves.
Yeah, it really is a lifestyle. Do we choose it, or does it choose us, you know?
Yeah, I feel like it chooses us, but I feel like my therapist would say that we choose it.
Yeah, I know. We're both a little bit crazy, or a little kapakahi, if you ask me. Like, kapakahi means a little like crazy, like all over the place.
It means all over the place.
I call it like falling in style, you know?
Yeah, totally. Well, it's, I think the thing is like we're both yes people.
Yeah, we both really like to send it. That's for sure.
Even when we don't. Okay, so rewind. I had just gotten back from Satisfy Camp. I was just about to, in May in Wyoming, I was just about to go commentate at Western States. You were about to go on your surf trip to Indo. How was your surf trip?
Surf trip was so sick. We went to the Mentawais. There's this new resort called Via that we stayed at. Unreal. The people that worked there are super cool. We had a great surf guide that basically took us to all the best spots. He knew everything that we need to know. Man, the surf was unreal. It was really consistent. And even when there was small waves, like you can go somewhere and find a wave if you have a boat. And so we had like the Via boat that we'd take around. And oh man, really fun. There are crowds, like people travel from all over the world to go surfing there, especially Australia, but also plenty of US people too.
Yeah.
So,
and like a lot of pro surfers, like I coach Soft Flex. I coach Brianna Cope, who's a pro surfer.
So sick. I love working with her. But she was just in the Mentawais and training. Right now, she's at a surf comp in, I forget where, in California somewhere. And she like spent 2 weeks with Bethany Hamilton training. That's
so
awesome.
Super, like, you did something that the best in the world go do to train and hone their craft.
Yeah, I mean, getting to surf that consistently on decent waves for 2 weeks, I guess it was technically like 10 days, but it really, you learn a lot of intricacies that, it's hard to pick up when you're only surfing a couple times a week.
Well, and then the other thing is you were getting to, there was a video guy there, like videoing all of your waves. So you got to, at the end of the day, see what you were doing and what you were doing right and what you were doing wrong.
Yeah.
And how you could improve.
Mostly photos, but
video,
some video too. And like, it's super cool to be able to watch yourself, and kind of cringy because you're like, oh man, I felt so much cooler than it looked. Like, it doesn't look as cool as it felt, but you get to learn from that and figure out where to make adjustments, I should be doing this sort of rotational movement with my shoulders and my arms, and it makes a huge difference to be able to do that.
Yeah, to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was an epic trip with my brother, a couple friends joined, and we met some Aussies there that were awesome too. And great crowd, great surf, great food. Yeah, can't complain. It was the travel there and back was long and very long.
Unbelievable. It's like 48 hours to get to Indonesia, and then you have to take a boat ride.
Yeah. It's a pretty much an ultra marathon just to get there.
Yeah, so crazy.
Yeah. But
so, no wonder the days after you got home, we had a little hiccup.
A little smidge hiccup, kind of crazy. So I had what they've been calling is the Indo flu. It's just like a lot of people kind of get sick, like doing that huge long travel and being exposed to so many germs from all over the world. And I came back, had the Indo flu, jet lag, not sleeping well. And yeah, I was kind of just really feeling really weird one morning. It was just Kat and me in the house, and we're sitting down to drink some coffee, and I was feeling very lightheaded. And all of a sudden, apparently I go unresponsive. I don't remember this part of it, but I remember leading up to it and feeling lightheaded, and then all of a sudden
you wake up and I'm like crying over you.
Yeah, well, I was sitting in the chair. I didn't fall out of the chair, but
one of these chairs, actually.
One of these chairs, yeah. Or maybe this exact chair. And Kat is crying like, oh my God, I thought you died. Like, terrified. And I'm like, I kind of come to, I'm like, wait, what? Like, wait, honey, what's the big deal? What's wrong? Did I pee myself? And yeah, so it turns out like I was unresponsive, eyes open, leaning back like this. Yeah. And basically breathing kind of funny and
not
peed
breathing,
myself.
Yeah. So from my perspective, Carson, we're like talking normal morning. I'm supposed to get on a red eye that night to Colorado. So we're chit-chatting. Carson asked for more coffee. I give it to him, and when I give it to him, he's like leaned back in his chair with his eyes open. I don't think anything of it. And then he starts taking some really weird breaths, which apparently is like a lot of times what happens right before a seizure. He's like, like I think he just had a friend over who talked about Wim Hof breathing. So I was like, I was giving him shit. I was like, oh, you Wim Hof breathing. And then he wasn't replying. And I was like, fine, ignore your wife, after she makes you breakfast, boo-hoo. And then he still wasn't responding. I was kind of like still joking because his eyes were open and like the breathing stopped and he was just like completely still. And then I walked to the other side of the room, kind of where you're sitting right now. And, then he started peeing, and then I started like screaming your name. Then I ran over and started shaking you, and you still didn't like respond. You were just like,
yeah.
And then finally you came to.
So I came to, and I was pretty much right off the bat like, oh wow, like what's the big deal? What happened? And then I was still feeling a little lightheaded. I sat down. I totally just ate the whole bowl of oatmeal. Yeah, no problem. I was like, wow, this is great. I just kind of like. Kat's like, what? Like
I'm like still crying.
I'm sitting in a puddle of my own pee, and then as I'm eating the oatmeal, I'm feeling better and better. And then, but I have a history of heart surgery, concussions, all that jazz. So we went to the hospital. I was like thinking maybe my heart just like maybe there's an issue with my heart, and so EKG came back normal. They were like, we don't really know what's the deal.
Yeah.
The North Shore nurse guy was pretty funny. He's like, bro, you're probably just like really tired or something.
No, what he said is he was like, bro, you're probably pretty fucking tired. I was like, oh my God. And then he looked at me and he was like, ma'am, I know you're stressed out, but you just need to chill out. You just need to relax. And I was about to punch this guy in the face. I thought Carson had died that morning. His face was gray. He wasn't responding when I was shaking him. And this guy was like, man, you just got to chill. He's fine.
Yeah, if you ever have a super stressed out wife, the best thing you can do is tell her to chill out. It's like guaranteed.
This guy was like the turtle from Finding Nemo. You know?
He
like,
totally was.
bro.
Yeah, I was like, bro, like, you're probably just fucking exhausted. I was like, yeah, I drop an F-bombs. I'm like, this is a doctor's office, like,
I know, and
emergency room.
When he was trying to tell you what kind of seizure it could have been, because like it almost, because you weren't shaking, it almost presented like you passed out, but because you peed and because your eyes open, the doctors are thinking it was a seizure.
Yeah.
And the guy, this nurse was like, "What's that called again? What's the word?" And
I'm like, absentee seizure.
yeah.
And he's like, it might be called something similar to that.
Like,
I'm
no, it's called.
It is that. I have studied this. But anyways, so they were like, we don't know. It doesn't seem like it's your heart. We ran some scans, but you should go and see a neurologist and talk to your main doctor.
Yeah.
So I went to my primary care, he's really great, and then he rushed me over to a neurologist that your family knows, and so MRI, EEG, which MRI is like looking at the physical structure of the brain, and EEG is measuring the electromagnetic impulses that my brain makes at a resting state to see like, are they smooth and or are they like all crossed and like kind of crazy. So according to those scans, I don't have epilepsy, which was the big scare. Like if I could just all of a sudden start having seizures all the time, that's really dangerous.
Yeah, and apparently the medication for seizures for epilepsy slows down your cognition, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's like a really heavy medication to go on. And if you have to do it, obviously, but that was really freaking you out.
Yeah. And, there's things I've heard that like CBD can help epilepsy and stuff. But, so all that came back relatively inconclusive. But the neurologist.
Funny, one of the MRIs you had to take, it was thwarted because of the tsunami.
Oh, yeah. It was on my birthday. It was my birthday MRI. And then there was a big tsunami coming from Russia. So they were like, can we do it like another time?
I know. While we were driving there, I was like, we live an hour away from this hospital. And any way to get to our house, we have to drive on the coast. So I was like, we might we left. And 5 minutes after we left, the tsunami warning just bumped up to the highest class. So I was like, oh my God, we might not be able to get home tonight.
We were expecting the highway to get washed away.
Yeah.
And honestly, if it's possible that could have happened if the tsunami was going to come in as hot as they were expecting. So I went like full Magoon prepper mode. I was like, all right, we need to fill up the gas in the car right now. Do we have enough beans at home? Like, we got to go fill up water bottles, and came back, and I'm happy we came back, but luckily the tsunami ended up not being a big deal.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're clear.
Yeah, so the neurologist gave great news. He was like, the majority of time this kind of thing happens to somebody without epilepsy. It just happens one time. It's like a one-time thing, and it's really weird, but it never happens again. Yeah. So tomorrow I'm getting some final tests done on my heart just to double check everything. 14-day EKG where they test like the rhythm of my heart, and they're going to put it on my body, and it's just going to stay on me for like 14 days.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last test.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, that was so scary. You know what was cool though is I posted that on Instagram, like a photo of you at the hospital, and it like opened the floodgates, and every single person that I ran into in Europe and every single one of my athletes, it's probably like 100 people in the last month or 2 months like asked how you were. Like that's their first question. So thanks guys.
Me too. Yeah. You've all been reaching out, and like it's really nice. Everyone is so like caring and concerned about our health, and it's really nice. That's one of the really cool things about social media is like you're going through something, you can share it, and you'll probably get a ton of people that just want to help you. It's really nice.
Yeah, and it made us feel a lot better. Unsolicited medical advice is not always good, but yeah, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, that happened to so-and-so, and then they never got one again. So that was helpful when you were feeling really down, because it was tough. You couldn't drive or surf or do anything for 5 weeks. You were feeling bad and I was happy to do it. obviously, but you were feeling bad because I canceled my Colorado trip. And that's why I didn't want to be anywhere but your side. But,
Yeah.
you know, so it was kind of hard to feel, or this is what you said, to feel like you were impacting me.
Yeah.
And then to like worry about having to do that in the future. So it was helpful to have, you know, people saying, oh yeah, this happens to people.
Yeah. Yeah. So shout out to everyone who's caring and considerate and like reaching out. You're all great. I'm doing good though. I'm back to surfing, back to paddling and running, and yeah. So that was a long story, but let's see what else is there other than that. Let's see. After you commentated Western States. First off, what was that experience like? It must have been pretty crazy since you won Western States after all.
Yeah, that was my first time back at Western since winning. It was awesome. You know, I think living in Hawaii has been really good for me in a lot of ways, because before that, my whole life was this super intense running community, which I love, but it's also, you know, it's a lot of pressure all the time. But now when I get to be around it for a week, I truly bask in it. You know, I was in, you know, seeing people that I only get to see at these events. I get to run with some of my best friends in the world. I got to, you know, podcast with Dylan Bowman. I got to, you know, it was just like, you know, action. You know, you and I hardly got to chat while I was there because my whole day was totally filled, and I just had so much fun. Then commentating myself, I was so nervous. I was like shaking right before. I was like 4:30 in the morning. I'm about to go live. I just hiked to the top of the escarpment and I'm like shaking. I'm so nervous. And, you know, everybody was so supportive, and I learned so much from this crew. And you know, I would love to do it again next year, even though it was like, you know, you don't sleep. What they don't tell you is the commentators, you go 30 hours, you know, or more, just like the last place runners. Like I didn't sleep that night. So
wow, that's crazy.
Super cool experience. I got to see one of my oldest ultra running friends win the race. You know, I was talking to my friend Abby Levine before, and she was like, oh my god, my three oldest running friends, or trail running friends, that's me, Claire Gallagher, and Abby Hall, all have cougars. We've all won Western States, and Abby Levine will never run Western because she hates the heat, but she's like, this is crazy. So it was, you know, I'd say a highlight of my summer.
Nice.
Yeah. And you know, it was also kind of cool because I had a conversation with Jason Koop and John Fitzgerald after the race. And, you know, it kind of changed the trajectory of my summer. They were like, you know, first of all, I was on a run with John, and he was like, hey, he was like, oh, we were talking about CCC. And he was like, what's your goals? And I was like, I really want to get top 10 at CCC. And he was like, top 10? Like, no, you're not aiming high enough. You're not like, you're better than that. And basically Coop said the same thing to me. And then after we're all hanging out at Robbie Point right before the finish, like it's like golden hour almost. And I'm about to run in the last few finishers. They're like getting their last few athletes. And, you know, they tell me that basically I need to go all in. If I want to take this seriously, I need to, you know, if I want to run with the best, I have to act like the best. And at first that was kind of hard to hear because our situation doesn't allow me to, you know, go all in the way that I know Abby Hall has. You know, Abby was able to like quit her job completely, and that's just not our situation. And honestly, I love the athletes that I coach, and I can't imagine not coaching, but you know, it was kind of hard at first, but then it made me reframe what that means and how that can look for me. And so, yeah, so I did. You know, a lot of my athletes were kind enough to donate their calls to me if they didn't have races coming up for that month. So That was really, really huge. So I was still coaching and checking logs and communicating over text and email and Training Peaks, but no, like way fewer calls that month. And yeah. And then also Satisfy flew Kim out there, your mom, to help cook for me to Europe.
My mom is such an epic mom. She really knows how to be a killer mom.
She's a pro mom.
Shout out Kim, you're the best. And so I'm glad that she got to, and that was really the first time you gotten to hang out with Kim one-on-one.
Yeah, for like we've done like dinners one-on-one.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like little stuff one-on-one.
I guess for longer than a day or two.
Yeah, we got like 2.5 weeks hardcore one-on-one
So cool.
time, like roommates in a pretty small space with really thin walls.
And she was like helping to cook for you and making sure that you could hit all of your target goals.
She did everything because it was really hard to run for 6 to 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And also take meetings at night and then also feed myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so hard.
The food is something you're adjusting. And now that you are sort of really dialing in your nutrition, you're understanding how you can get the most nutrients out of your food to fuel your runs and your recovery so that you can properly adapt to this insane training.
Yeah.
And so,
it's just basically like a lot of calories. Like,
yeah.
On the more I trained, the less I was like, craved a salad. And so to make sure I was getting veggies, Kim was like cooking a bunch of my vegetables and putting them in things that I wouldn't notice because I was just like, give me calories and like, tons of fats, tons of proteins, tons and tons of carbohydrates.
Yeah. And, this is food that she just makes naturally. Like, again, like Kim is a killer chef. And, you were sending pictures you sent a bunch of pictures to one of your nutritionist friends and they were like, oh, that's exactly what you need to be eating. And, so that's pretty sick. And now that you're dialing it in, like, it's kind of cool to share. And, I'm sure that your female athletes will get a lot from this, the ones that you coach, because like, you're learning how female diets are like a little different than male diets. And there is something there.
Totally. And I just started working with Meredith Terranova, a dietitian that works with CTS. And yeah, I'm already learning a lot. And it feels good to have another woman on my team. And you know what I just thought would be cool? Doing like a Kim cookbook. For runners.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun with photos and recipes? Kim would be like, I just throw stuff in a pot, but that would be super cool. Like one night she made me this pasta and the sauce she made out of squash. She like made like, it was kind of like a really thin squash soup that she made. She put like a ton of cheese in.
That would be sick. Coach Kat / Kim Magoon power athlete cookbook.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be sick.
It'd be super sick.
You could bring that to market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An ebook.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, going all in like that, I've never done that in my career where I've been like, I did before Western States, but I got laid off, so I didn't choose that. It just kind of happened. And I was like, well, I get to do this. But choosing to go all in, first of all, was super vulnerable. I made this, I was like, okay, this is how it's going to happen. But like, what happens if I go all in and then fall short?
Also, before Western States, you didn't have a mortgage.
So true.
The mortgage is a pretty big thing, like having to make sure that we're beholden to it.
My rent was $500 a month when I
so it's a different story than this is like a big heavy load. So
totally.
Anyways, didn't mean to interrupt you, but just thought that was an important little tidbit for the listeners.
Super important. And then so it's super vulnerable, also vulnerable because we have a mortgage. And then the other part of that was, while it was vulnerable while I was doing it, I honestly, it was like one of the coolest. And now I've been, obviously it didn't go well, but since I've been wrestling with the fact of whether it was the right thing to do or not, because after the race, I was so depressed. And I don't know if I would have been that depressed if I didn't go all in. Maybe I would have, but maybe not. But also it was like, that was one of the coolest things I've ever done, to fully live the pro athlete lifestyle in a way that I never have. You know, in that 3 weeks, I was like, I felt like a pro athlete actually for the first time.
You were like firing. I mean, and every day you were like, I'm crushing my goals. I feel great.
Yeah.
And like, I honestly, that was like the first time I'd ever seen you be like 100% responsible in this extreme training you're putting your body through, because it's a lot of stress and it's a lot of pressure, and you have to have a certain amount of support just for your body to handle it without breaking.
I know. And it's like just a lot of time, you know, like I think people don't realize that, you know, pro ultra running is a 9-to-5. It is a full-time job, if not more. You know, my max training week was like 23 hours, and then plus like 45 minutes every day of just PT trying to keep myself together, you know?
Like sometimes there's like, it takes an hour to commute, like,
yeah,
you know, to
easy an hour, sometimes more.
Like, yeah, it depends on where you go. But, and then fueling, like you have to get your fuel and make sure that all your pack is ready to go. And then trying to get massages and body work, and like, yeah, you easily fill 9-to-5 with all of that if you're going to be elite. I mean, it's no joke.
Yeah. And like, you know, from a fitness perspective, it paid off. I was, you know, fitter than I've been in many, many years, and felt so good, and was just eating the volume up. And so I think, so what happened is, you know, about 7 miles in after the first climb, you know, you can't be like, oh, I was going to have a great race because the first climb went well. But, you know, I was stoked on that first climb. I was on cloud 9. I was running with Fu Zhao, who has podiumed at this race before. She just got second at Western 2 years in a row. She's one of the best in the world. I really admire Fu Zhao as an athlete. She's so consistent and so strong. And yeah, I was with her up in, you know, the whole climb, and easily. And I was like running the first climb, and I was like, and my Coach John told me to go super conservative on that first climb. He was like, do not go out too hard, do not go out too hard, do not go out too hard. And I was like, I want to tempo the first climb. He was like, And yeah, so I went out with Fu Zhao. It felt easy. It felt like I could, you know, I was like, oh my God, if this is what it feels like the whole time, you know, I'm going to have a really good day. And again, you can't say like, oh, I had a first good climb, so it's going to be great. But the other 2 times I've done this race, I honestly was dying on that climb. So that says a lot. Yeah. And then, you know, about a mile later, I'm cruising down the single track. It's super beautiful. It's a really fast section of the course. I just went to go past somebody in the grass, and then took one step, and all of a sudden my knee, it was like a sharp pain underneath my kneecap. I found out later, you know, I saw a doctor in France, and she said it was probably torn cartilage, but she wasn't sure. I saw my PT Cam Harder, who like touched my knee, and it was reminiscent of when I broke my leg as a kid, and the doctor's like, does it hurt here? And you're like, no. Does it hurt here? No. And then when he touches it, he's like, does it hurt here? And you're like, it hurts.
Yeah, you pretty much jumped out of your seat.
Yeah,
I was there. And you know, it was pretty terrible. I mean, so through the rest of the race, like you pulled out halfway at Champex-Lac, and that's mile 35 or something. 34,
I think. And I ran, so I ran that descent, and on that descent, it was really hurting. But I was kind of talking. I was like, maybe it'll go away, you know. And then there's that long flat section. And I was running well on that flat section still. Like anytime it was like, you know, it's like flat, and there's like a tiny little steep descent, and then it'll like go uphill a little while. And anytime it was like the steep descent, I would lose hope, but they're so short. They're like literally, you know, you descend like maybe 15 feet and then you like go back up and then it's flat again. So I was feeling, you know, I totally had goldfish brain because it didn't hurt at all in the flat at this point.
You're like, this hurts. Oh, it doesn't hurt that bad.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
I know,
I'm chill. This hurts. Oh, never mind. It's okay. Yeah.
100%. That was me. And then, you know, there's that descent into the aid station right before you start climbing up Grand Col Ferret. And climbing up that, I saw the Satisfy photographer, Pierre, and Alexi Berg, who's also like a really well-known photographer who was working for Satisfy for this one. And I just like started running up Grand Col Ferret. I was like, this feels easy. And they're going crazy. And I'm like, you know, again, total goldfish brain. I'm like, I think I got it. And I thought about dropping at that aid station right before Grand Col Ferret, which is mile 16. But I just love that climb so much. And I was like, I just have to give myself a shot, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I passed on that climb like 5 women. I was so stoked. I was just like, super chill, past 5 women. I mean, I wasn't like going super chill. I was like probably in steady state. I was going kind of hard.
Yeah, no big deal. Just super chill, past 5 elite women. Like, it was chill. No problem. Yeah.
But
soft flex.
Yeah, but okay, so the effort wasn't chill, but it felt really good.
Yeah,
you know, it felt good. And then immediately started going downhill and I was like, this is not good.
Then the pain erupts.
And then actually, you know, right when you start descending off Grand Col Ferret, it's not super steep and I thought it was okay. And then descending into Triant, it gets really, really steep. And then after the descent into Triant, which is super steep, there's like a long flat section and the descent into Triant made it feel so bad that the flat section started hurting too. And by the time I got to Champex-Lac, just like walking was hurting.
Oh, ouch. Yeah, that's bad.
And then I had to use a cane for 2 weeks.
So it was really, I mean, physically you're in pain, but like you pulled out and it was a really smart thing to do because if you kept going and you really like exploded your cartilage, that stuff doesn't grow back. Like that's not like that's not a good thing to ruin.
I know.
You don't want knee replacements when you're 30. Like that's not a good idea.
So what ended up happening is I tore my cartilage. I don't know if I said that, but I have what's called a full fissure or full thickness cartilage tear, which means, you know, the cartilage is like a pad and it tore to the bone.
But it was really tiny, right? Like it's like you said, really, really tiny thickness.
Yeah. So last Thursday, so like I talked to a bunch of doctors before, trying to get a hold of Dr. Chan, who's also coached by John Fitzgerald. And apparently I tore my cartilage and it is what, and he was like, it hurts like a bitch is what his, but he said I had a unicorn cartilage tear. Usually cartilage tears, they like look like a canyon. So like they're thin at the bottom by the bone and then they go out. But mine, he's like, it looks like a stick. You know, it's just like up and down. And so it's best case because because it's like that, it's not like, you know, gonna hit my bone, like bone on bone by accident. There's still like a lot of good, healthy cartilage there. It just like took a bad step and it just, you know, tore, you know, and
it's not that, I don't think it's just that you took a bad step though. Like you should tell people what happened like leading up to it because there was some stuff that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to go into that because I don't want to, I mean, basically what happened is I got some physio the day before, that loosened one part of my leg. This guy like really, or 2 days before really loosened my adductor. And I have the cartilage tears on the medial side. So what likely happened, according to Dr. Chan, is that, and what it looks like from the MRI is that my lateral side, it was really tight, and my adductor is usually really tight, and it counters that. So the kneecap stays in place. But because the adductor all of a sudden was really loose, and he did literally just work on my adductor for like an hour, that lateral side like pulled on my kneecap really hard. Yeah. And so then it tore on that opposite side, on that medial side.
Right.
Yeah. So
just educational.
Yeah. And educational.
Good to know.
Yeah, true. So, I mean, don't go see a new physio race week. I mean, if you're desperate and something really hurts, sure, then, but the problem was that I went to go see this guy and I was like, nothing hurts. I actually feel great, and I should have been like, oh, that's my sign that I don't need to get physio. I'm good right now. And instead I just was like, more is more, physio, especially having an injury history, physio and massages and dry needling has often been my saving grace, has often been the thing that fixes me. And so I'm not going to say no, Satisfy organized a physio to come over to help us.
It was well meant. And honestly, he was probably a great physio, but next time I'm going to be your bodyguard. I'm not going to let anyone touch you unless if that you know them and they know you and you've worked together and you know exactly what they're doing and it's already tried and true. I'm not going to let anyone do anything new to you a week before the race or 2 weeks before the race.
Yeah. Even. And hopefully I don't let anybody do that. Hopefully I won't even need you. Hopefully I learned my lesson.
Yeah. You've learned your lesson.
God, why are there so many lessons? I'm ready to stop learning lessons.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. The universe works in mysterious ways. Is that God? That's God teaching us lessons, isn't it?
Yeah, perhaps, it might be.
But anyways, so I was going to also tell people like, physically it was really hard and it was painful, but like will you describe to people like how it was really difficult emotionally? Because I mean, I don't want you to have to dig it up too much if you don't want to.
No, that's fine.
It's like something that isn't really like well talked about, having to stop a race that you've worked so hard for. You've like poured all your chips into, and then you have to stop. And that leaves you with a big gaping hole in your heart, I think. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I was really, really depressed. I like for 2 weeks, I felt, and it sounds so silly, and especially because there's so many horrible things going on in the world right now. And I think I can cope with the horrible things in the world a lot better when I'm running. I feel like I have more of a purpose. But yeah, those 2 weeks before I found out I didn't have to get surgery I was straight depressed. I was like, my will to do anything was low. I got home. Carson had to work in Texas. The house was kind of messy and I just kind of let it be. I like didn't unpack until this weekend just because I had, and this is, and it sounds so dramatic, but I just want to be honest because, I just spent 3 weeks in Chamonix posting photos like, look at my life. It's so amazing. I'm so happy. But the reality is, I put a lot of chips in that basket. I was banking on it paying off. And I came home with an injury, no finish. And also I was betting on this financially. Satisfy supports me. But if I'd gotten top 5, it would have put me in a totally different pay bracket. I could have gotten more all in the future. A lot of our financial stress would have been alleviated. And, and then you come home, you're broke, you're depressed, and then you're looking at potentially, and then you don't get to run to cope with it. And then I was looking down the barrel of another surgery recovery. I couldn't imagine, and this I think was what was really depressing me. It wasn't just the race. It wasn't, what was making me hopeless, like truly hopeless. It was not good. Was that I just felt fit again. That training block in Chamonix, I was like, oh my God, this is what it feels like. That light, fast feeling you get when you're fit and you're ready. this is it. And I'm back here. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to, it took me 2.5 years to get here. 2.5 years to get back here. And I can't do that again. I can't be, I didn't have the will to crawl my way back to that and to be patient and to swallow the ego and to line up at 2/3 fitness and to, I couldn't fathom that, and I didn't want to, and I still, if I had to get surgery, I still don't know whether I would have retired or not. I'd like to think I wouldn't, knowing me, I just love to run so much that I would have kept running, and then the snowball falls. But yeah, the idea of doing that again was killing me. It was really not good.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for explaining that. I mean, it is tough when you bank on something that hard and you put your whole soul into it and you can't. And
publicly too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm going all in. I'm going to do it this time. It's for real.
And you were like confident too. Like you were fit. I was like, holy moly. Everyone's been making fun of me about how much I say holy moly. They're like, what are you, 80? But and I was like, holy moly, you are fit. You're like ripped too. I was like, I was ready to watch you wreck shop. And I just felt really bad for you, your mental state. And I mean, everything that you and I had both poured into it was a big investment. And I don't doubt that you're just going to come back from this, because immediately after the next day we're walking around Chamonix and you were thinking up new ways to, heal this and get back on the horse and salvage your fitness and like get to the top. And every single time you approach a big problem, you find a way to solve it. And you have an unbreakable mindset like that. And I think that's really what makes you a champion.
Thanks, honey. I do feel kind of fragile still, even though I'm doing a lot better, because I like went for a 7-mile run walk yesterday, and it's not running, but it's hopeful. I'm not in pain anymore either, which when I was walking around in pain, just the fact that running felt so far, what really upset me, it wasn't the pain, it was that the pain was a sign that running was very far away, which turns out it wasn't as far away as I thought. But, to be completely honest, that was a big crack in my shield. And I am less certain about, before this race, I was so certain that it was all going to pay off. That, even if CCC wasn't before the race, I thought even if CCC wasn't my time, that my time would come. And I'm just expressing, you don't have to say anything, but now it feels less certain, and I feel like kind of like a stubborn idiot, but we'll see. I love it too much to stop trying. And I keep thinking to myself, okay, if, you never succeeded, what would you do instead? And it's like, I really just like to run and get faster and, and see what I can do out there. So I guess I'll keep doing that. And then hope the confidence comes. But, something that I realized I need to, and, the podcast is a way to do that. And I want to explore more ways, but is to, any time that I get hurt, or that I fail, I really crave a creative outlet. I crave a creative outlet.
A creative outlet while you're wearing your Satisfy creative outfit.
Too. Oh yeah, totally. Cool. I get especially inspired when I'm around the Satisfy crew, but it even happens before that. Yeah. I remember in 2019, was dealing with a plantar injury, and all of a sudden I picked up the guitar again, and I'm feeling those same things, and I am still kind of figuring out what that looks like. I spent a good 2 hours, hour and a half writing today. I think I'm going to start with some type of music again, but I don't know quite what that means and what I want, but I do think getting on the mic and podcasting more is one thing that I really want.
Cool.
So
yeah,
we need you for that.
I want to do more of that too. And I think it's super important to have other outlets in your life rather than just that one thing. Kind of like how when you're running all the time, if you're training super hard and you're not doing any cross training, you get injured or you stop running, then you have nothing to fall back on. But it's known that if you do some cross training and you can't run for a little while, and you can fall back on your cross training or your other source of exercise, and it's really helpful. That's true for your own mental state also. So having the art, the music, the podcasting, and honing those skills and feeling good about it, while it's not your favorite thing, it's something.
But the problem is when I'm running so much, it's the time. So I think continuing to manage time a little bit better and really carving out that time for that stuff, because it is, I think it's, I really listen to my gut, and my gut is just screaming for me to do something creative.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, listen to your gut.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out one silver lining to that terrible thing that happened to you at the race. While it was not good at all, but the silver lining was we were staying with the Satisfy team at the Satisfy House in Chamonix. Super cool, by the way. If Satisfy goes to next year's UTMB, go check out their shop, because they hit the 10 out of 10, the way that they organized everything and decorated it and put up their little shop. They had so many awesome fun runs. And they're all so cool and friendly also. It's people this cool probably won't be that friendly. But when I showed up in person, I was like, oh my God, they're all so friendly. Meeting Stian gave me one of the biggest hugs I've ever had. For the first time he met me, he's like, Carson. And almost everyone on the team did that too. I was like, wow, everyone is super cool. And we spent that week with them, and they're all as cool as they look. But also when you came back, shot down from the race, and you were so sad, all they wanted to do was be supportive of you. There wasn't any of that feeling that oh, you didn't do so good, hope you have a contract next year. That's the vibe that some running brands give their athletes, and I think it's disgusting. But Satisfy was only supportive. They were like, how can we be there for you? We just love you. We just want you to do what's best for you.
Yeah, and literally told me not to worry about my contract, do what's best for me. I have a contract next year. They were so supportive, and I felt so grateful. I can't overemphasize that enough. I have posted a little bit about it, and I've told them a little bit, but they haven't worked with a lot of athletes that have come from different brands. I don't think they have any. And I think because of that, the world doesn't really know what it's like to be an athlete and to go through this cycle. And this is just unlike anything that I've ever experienced.
Hopefully that culture spreads to all the other brands too.
Yeah. And
it's really special.
It's special, and it's hard because in one way it makes me want to make them proud. But it's different when it comes from me. That's all me. It's not pressure from the outside. It's not me feeling like I have to do really well in order to get paid and feeling guilty for my travel expenses when I fail. But it's instead I want to make them proud. And I also just want to be around them. You know, I truly hope, and I haven't really, you know, who knows what'll happen. I hope this isn't like, you know, I want to work with them after I retire. You know, I want to always be involved in this brand, and I hope I can grow with them. They're so inspiring. They're so fucking weird in the best way, you know, and they truly care about the people that they work with, and they hand select people. And now that I know a little bit about how they hand select people, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so honored that I got to be a part of this team. Like,
that's really cool.
You know, I've seen them say no since, and that is cool.
Yeah, I mean, talking to Brice, did I say it right?
Yeah, well, I just call him Brice.
Brice, their founder, man, the guy is a legend. His vibes, immaculate. Outfit, immaculate. His attitude, music taste, like everything. Everything he does and says and seems to be like curated to a T. Like, I don't know, that guy's a true master of his craft. And but you know, just watching him be so like
attentive.
Yeah, he's attentive, but he is also does what do you call it when you do things on purpose? It's like
intentional.
Yeah, there you go. He's like intentional with all of his actions, everything that he does, and
all of his words too.
And he's like intentional with who he brings on the team, and he lets the people that he brings on the team be themselves and do what they want to do. And he's like, yeah, do what you're gonna do, just do it, you know. And I think that has created a team that is greater than the sum of its parts, because each person can bring their true self to the table. And if you have a team full of epic people and they can all be their true selves, man, you're going to blast off. And Satisfy is doing really well right now.
Yeah. I got to spend some time in the office in Paris.
Yeah.
Working with the design team, and I really want to go back. I hope they were talking about doing a trip. Oh, Mike, thank you. Better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. We were talking about doing a trip in the winter time to go to Paris and then Annecy. Nice. To do shoe testing, and I really hope that happens. So
yeah, that would be cool in the winter. Wow.
Yeah. Then fun. I could wear my Satisfy puffy coat that I got.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't get as much use here on Oahu, where it's about 87 degrees today.
It's so humid.
It's kind of warm.
Yeah.
But
hopefully we get some winter trips this year.
So that silver lining was pretty good, and being in Chamonix with you is always. It's always cool. So
I know.
Thank you for bringing me along. Thank you, Satisfy and Brice, for having me. It's awesome. Let's see. We came back after that. Should we move on from that?
Yeah.
And just we came back, and let's see. We got to see your mom. Your cousin got married.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff.
I worked in Texas. You went back to Hawaii. We've been working and trying to regroup and figure things out, and I'm trying to make more money and pay off this mortgage. You know what I learned is that mortgage is like the Latin root of mortgage. It actually translates to death contract.
Yeah. Which is what it feels like sometimes.
Yeah. Is it like, am I dying because of the mortgage, or do I have the mortgage until I die? Like, I'm not sure which one it is.
I know. I read somebody today that I used to work with who just went completely debt free. They sold everything.
Really?
And then moved into an RV for a year and went completely debt free. To do that, we would have to live on the mainland, though, I think.
I mean, I kind of fantasize about that.
Yeah, me too, a little bit.
I mean, I lived out of a short school bus one time, and it wasn't that uncomfortable. I mean, sometimes we had a window break, or like, you had to like had
RVs
to move or whatever.
Are comfier than a short school bus.
It depends on the short school, but there's some really cool schoolies out there.
That's true.
I'm such a hippie. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I bought my school bus out of college. It was a short one. It was like $4,500 and put like 3 or 4 grand into it, and it was livable. It was actually super sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The NAR bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've lived out of cars and vans, and I lived out of a car for
Yeah.
like almost 2 years. But I don't really want to do that again.
I know. We kind of lived that life. It's nice to have a house. It's super cool.
really nice to have a house and it's not the house, it's the stability it offers, you know.
Just like it's not nice to have a lot of money, but it's nice to not feel stressed out about money. So, you know, it's like, do you really care about the money, or do you care about the like freedom that it offers? And I'm realizing that I got to make more money.
It's freedom for sure.
Yeah.
I don't need nice stuff, you know,
Yeah.
like, I mean, as I wear a Satisfy shirt, but
You need your Satisfy clothes.
I need
Let's
my
be honest.
Satisfy clothes.
I think now that once you put on a Satisfy shirt, like it's hard to go back. Like, I'm wearing, I mean, this is an okay shirt, but like,
Yeah.
man, it's like because all my sweet new Satisfy shirts are in the wash right now.
Yeah.
I just wore them on a cool backpacking trip. My brother turned 30. Shout out Alex Magoon. It's the most awesome surfer probably.
Wow. Oh my God. He's going to love that.
Yeah. Well, I'm like slightly better than him at surfing, but
Yeah.
nah, just joking. But he does kick my ass at foiling. He's a really good foiler. Anyways, yeah, shout out Alex. Happy 30th. The Haleakala trip. That Dre, our high school buddy. He went to school with all of us, actually, on the Big Island. Yeah, he planned it out. Trip leader Dre. Chef Dre, Big Island.
Yeah.
Super big deal these days if you get to eat a meal made by Chef Dre. He makes the best food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten it yet, but I feel like we're digressing. So should we wrap this up?
I'm
Shout out Dre. Shout out Alex. Alex is kind of a better surfer than me, but
Yeah. Well, I guess so. What else we got to talk about?
I think that's it. I think this is a good place to wrap.
Yeah. Well,
Next week,
it's been fun.
It's been fun. Next week, we'll have another podcast. We're going to try and get into an every other week cadence with Carson and I. I've been thinking about doing like a half an hour pod with a guest in between on Riverside, but I haven't talked to our producer over here about it yet. So,
Yeah.
but perhaps.
Let's think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, great to catch you guys up. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, don't forget to do all the things that make podcasts successful, like interact with us.
Yeah, interact with me.
Yeah. All right.
So funny.
We gotta go now.
All right. Bye. We love you.
Bye. Love you guys.